And we are live. Good morning, good morning, good morning, South Florida. And hello, world. I am Robert Henderson Jr., President, founder, CEO of the Henderson Financial Group, located here in Miami Lakes, Florida, where we serve clients in Florida and all over the country. Matter of fact, out of the country also. We've been doing it for over 30 years, and we love what we do. And joining me here, my one and only, my brother from another mother, my true friend, the one and only, fabulous, legendary
Please.
James T. Thomas. What boy?
Time,
I'll tell you. Got you, my friend.
time, time
Boy,
out, man. Well, hey,
James T. Boy.
you always say we have the same father, and truly
Yeah,
we do.
yeah, we
we
do.
have, we have different mothers, but we all got the same father.
Yes, we
Good
do.
morning, good morning, good morning, everybody, man. Hey, it's good to be back. We were off last week, but we didn't stop working. And I was listening to you, Rob, as you said, clients everywhere, brother. You talk about how God blesses me, but I've never been to Copenhagen. I've never been to Iceland. I've never been,
Me either.
but you can't say that anymore. You
No,
had,
no.
you hadn't been there before, you know. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, so hey man, welcome back home. We're glad you got back safely. I know you've got a lot to share with our listeners, and I'm getting calls from all over the country, particularly saying, "Hey man, I mean, some people who aren't even on social media are saying, can you download that, cuz, and send that to me, cuz I enjoy watching that." Well, hey,
Oh, man.
why don't you just pick up on social platforms? Because as our guest told us when we were on last, which was a couple of weeks ago, a couple of Saturdays ago, man, if we don't step into today, we will be lost because we'll still be in yesterday. And that's a bad place to be when you're trying to plan for the future.
Oh, yeah, man. I tell you, boy, you got to be planning for the future. What you're doing today was going to show up tomorrow. If you ain't doing nothing today, don't expect nothing. Don't expect to see nothing different tomorrow now, or next week, or next month, or next year. You know what I mean? Because James C and I, boy, what we come upon now, we've been planning it for years. Ain't that right, James?
Rob, I thought about that and I went back and I pulled up some of the audio and some of the video of some of the things that you and Linda were doing on other platforms. And hey, people won't know that you've been on before these platforms. You were on 3 different platforms before now. See,
Ain't that something?
and all of them brought us to where we are today.
And that's the absolute truth, man. I tell you, it's amazing when you look at the journeys and how you've been. They'll say an overnight sensation. Everybody has said an overnight sensation. It looks like it's overnight, but it's never happened overnight. It's been 10, 20 years or more in the workings. And then it just comes up all of a sudden. It looks like it just happened fast, but it didn't happen fast. Boy, I tell you, we've been doing this a long, long time, James. We've been doing
Rob,
this a long
oh,
time.
oh 06, 07.
Yeah.
Come on, Rob. It's 25. So
Yeah. It's about to be 20 years, man.
30, Rob.
Yeah.
30 some years.
We've been doing this a long, long time, educating people. And boy, we got some stuff coming up later on this year, don't we? Woo, woo.
Hey, look out, look out, look out. Rob,
Good day.
one of the things that I share with people when I introduce them to you through what we do on the platforms and all of that, I said, when I heard this brother and the news that he had, I was in a position to get him on the air and so that he could present what he was presenting to our people. And I didn't look for an opportunity to say, hey, man, I can get paid for this. Blah, blah, blah. No. And Rob, that's how the blessings come.
Exactly.
I truly do believe God will not send a blessing to you unless it can go through you. And that's my mantra. My mantra is, God, as you bless me, I'm going to be a blessing to others. And brother, you have been, I want to point out to viewers, listeners, and all of that, this brother has been sharing knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, as far as I know, for the past 30 plus years. And I salute you, sir.
Yes. Well, I salute you too, man. And there's one thing that I've learned over my 66, I'm getting ready to be 67 years, is that when God put 2 people together or more, God never put one in a position to be more advantaged than the other. In other words, it's no when God put two people together, it's an equal blessing. It really, really, really is. It's like when people come to my office and they'll say, "Thank God, Robert, you helped me so much," and I say, "Thank God you came to me."
Came so that I can.
Yes.
Rob, they don't believe that giving is getting. You know,
Yes.
that's hard for a person to get. They think that grabbing and holding and canning, as they say, you know, grab all you can all you grab, you know, and you think that it's going to, no, man, you got to plant. And the way we plant is through service. I mean, I preach that. I teach that. I live that. You know, hey, I'm doing seeds right now that I picked up from. I was at a family reunion last weekend while you were out, and I had a cousin. You know, because you know they're making all these fruit now with no seeds. Rob, that's the trick.
Yes.
But how they were able to create it came from seed. So there has to be value in what they're not giving you. So, of course, they live in Georgia. And I said, hey, bring me some of those seeds. And I had two family members to bring. One family member brought me just the seed because that's all I wanted. And then the other one brought me the fruit. And he said, man, I'm not lifting that thing because it's heavy. But you can take it with you and get all the seeds that you want. Hey, Rob, I gave away the fruit that they eat. And all I asked them to do, would you save me some of the seed? Now, I hope they got that in saving me some of the seed. I hope they said, why James T want the seed? And they said, I'm gonna hold on to some of this seed and I'm gonna put it in some rich soil and I want to see what happens. And just as you teach and as you share, if they would take some of this seed and put it into their plan, they'll find out, oh my goodness. You mean to tell me he's giving that away?
Right. It's greater than you can even imagine, the seed and what they're going to produce. Isn't that something? My daughter Heisey said to ask you, how did she do when she spoke at your family reunion?
Oh my God. Rob, we got to do this. We there's so much more for us to do. She spoke at the reunion before some 70 plus people, right?
Right.
And including children. Including, you know, it wasn't as many children, but the families were there. And Rob, it was like the family was in church. And I got a chance to go into the audience and have them ask Heisey questions. Rob, we've got to bring her on with us here now and on other platforms, man. The information that we give is an awakening, you know, and we weren't trying to sell a product. We were trying to, give people an idea and a thought, because we all know that being transformed is by the renewing of your mind. And some of the things that she shared, I had people coming up to me after we went off the Zoom and said, could you give me that number? She said this about the IULs. She said this about this. And you know something? I've got my grandson or my granddaughter, my Rob, you know, I mean, throughout the entire reunion, I was getting comments about the fact that she was there. So, Heisey, God bless you. Thank you so much. You don't know the seeds that you've planted that will grow in someone else's garden. And we hope that their garden will plenish them and for them to also plenish others.
Yeah, she's so excited about the big announcement you're gonna make before the end of the year, man. She's so excited about that, man. She said, oh my God, dang, James T pulled it off. He pulled it off. Oh my
God. No. God did it. God did it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I prepared for it, but God did it.
Yeah, I promise you, all audience, we're gonna announce it before the end of the year. James T. People are gonna be like, James, I want what you, whatever you doing, I want you. I want some of that.
It's God. It's all God. He's not just good, Rob. He's best. I don't know anything better. And, and if we would study His word so that we will know His promise, and then pray the promise. Don't pray the plea, because we plead for stuff we see. I want that, Rob, for us that we can't even ask, think, or imagine.
That's
And,
right.
and he's pouring it out.
Yes, it's amazing. You know, last week I was out because, as James T. Said, every year, the financial institution, these companies, they invite certain advisors, financial planners out, the ones who they recognize have been serving a lot of people and really helping the community. And I get chosen mostly every year. And they do a financial conference somewhere. It's either in the country or out of the country. This year, they did it, and they invited me and my wife to Denmark and Copenhagen. And from there, we stayed there like 4 nights there, and then we went on to Iceland, Reykjavik, a place called Reykjavik, Iceland. And I said, "Oh my God!" That now, Denmark, Copenhagen, or Iceland had never been on my bucket list in terms of traveling. And that's something, James. I never wanted to say I wanted to go there. I mean, go to Italy or Spain or something like that. I've been to Africa 5 times, a continent, different parts of Africa. But I like to travel, but I never put Denmark or Copenhagen or Iceland, Reykjavik on my bucket list. But boy, it was something. It was something to see. One of the things that I didn't know, that Denmark, they call it the happiest place on earth, because people are. A matter of fact, in both places, I didn't see not one piece of paper on the floor, on the ground, nowhere. Clean, and in Copenhagen, it's like I was back in the 1960s or 70s, because people didn't walk around with designer Polo, Gucci, or none of that, man. People walked around like they went to the secondhand store, thrift shop, or whatever, just get clothes. They got shirts and got pants on. They didn't even care if it matched, but they were just happy. And they was like, you see a speck of black people mingling in with the people, and it's like they didn't care. It was just like live and let live. And there was no, Rolls Royces and Lamborghinis and fancy. There was none of that stuff running around there, man. I've never seen that many people on bicycles. You don't even see fat people around there, because they walk. They walk, and oh my God, I've never seen so many people riding bikes every day. I mean, like just slew of people, business people, families, little kids, all just riding bikes everywhere, But it really was a beautiful place. Food was excellent. Canals everywhere, and it really was amazing. And workshop was good. Every time I go to those workshops, man, I tell you, I say thank God, because I always learn something that I didn't even imagine or even know. Because if you think that you know everything, you're a fool. Think about it. There are people that with experiences and ideas out there that you never even thought. You didn't even know that you can do something. So when you come together with other minds, other brains, then it is so rewarding, because you get this information, and it's from sharing, and it's very I would say spiritual, because a lot of people walk around and they're not living their best life, because they just they think that all that they know is all there is to know, so they get depressed and they just feel like this is it. But I tell you, there's so much that you don't even know that can help your life in every form, every shape. But you have to ask, seek, and knock. You have to be on a journey for discovering. You have to read, you have to travel, you have to get around people who want to live and who want to know. And when you ask for it in your heart, I'm telling you, it's impossible not to receive it, but you got to want it. You can't just say, okay, this is it. I'm going to stay in my room and this is it. I don't have no money. This is all I know. I just got to be this. You have got to renew your mind. You really have to know that there is much more out there than you can even imagine that's available to you if you take one step and try and ask, So, and then we went over to Iceland, man. I tell you, Iceland, the volcanoes and just 45 minutes from the airport. It looks like the middle of nowhere, just like just land as far as you could see. And then all of a sudden you come into the city called Reykjavik. And it was an amazing city. I tell you, one thing that they do, they sure have some good food. You know,
they're obviously growing a lot, planting a lot, and growing a lot.
Yeah. Yes, they really are. And then they take us to this excursion. It's one excursion. When we had time off, I never even heard of the Blue Lagoon in Iceland, but that was something. If y'all get a chance, just Google that. And I never knew something like that exists on the planet called Blue Lagoon, Iceland. I never knew that something like that was on the planet. You know what I mean? But yeah, it is. So it's so much that you don't know, so much to learn. Okay, so today my sermon that I want to talk about is, as a matter of fact, I'm back now. I had a case that came in because I got back on Thursday, back in the office Thursday, and I had this case that came in. It's a new case, and I want to share it with you because I think that listening to this case, I want you to get your mind to thinking. Some of us can relate to this case that I'm going to tell you about, because and for every problem there's a solution. And like I said, most people, just because you don't know the answer, you think there's no answer, or you think that there's this answer just right there that everybody talks about. But there's a lot of information out there that you don't even know that you always got to be willing to learn. That's why you always got to be open and not close mind. That's why I never could get into organized religion. I would say I'm very spiritual, and I believe in the Most High. So I always keep my ears and eyes open to learning more, because that encourages me, because I know that whatever I know right now, there is more. And reason why I feel like that, because if there is not more, then that means there's no more growth for me. And if you feel like you know everything right now, I feel sorry for you, because that means that there's nothing else for you to learn, and there's no more growth for you. But you should always, every year, you should try to learn something that you did not know. That's growing. That's learning. Every year I learned something that I did not know. I learned something even in the financial services field every year that I did not know. A lot of times I say, oh my God, I wish I would have had this information 10 years ago. But then something comes on my mind and says, Robert, it wasn't time.
All right.
Because if you have a God like I have, if you have the same that God I believe, the God that I believe in, there's no mistakes. There's only perfect timing. And that's why I say that I get it when I'm supposed to get it. So I give it to you. All right. Now, let's talk about this case. So a lady called my office and said, Mr. Henderson, I have 3 sisters, and we don't really talk to each other. They're like in their 40s. And I think the older one is like 52. And they scattered throughout the country. And they have an elderly father. And she called me about a will. She says, I need to get my father. He's elderly and he's ill, and I need to get him a will. And I said, okay, why do you want a will? Because she said, I take care. She take care of her father mostly. And the other sisters, they're scattered and they don't really take care. And she knows that when he passes, they're going to all come and try to claim whatever assets that he have. So she was calling me about a will. And I had told her, I said, well, I'm glad someone referred you to me, but first let me educate you on a will. It's better for you to say, tell me what's happening, and I'll tell you what I recommend, or I'll tell you the difference between a will and a trust. And then once I lay it on the table for you and explain it to you, I'm pretty sure that you can make the decision that's best for you and your family. So she said, well, I wanted a will. Someone told me you need to get a will because we don't have a will. I said, well, do you understand what a will does? She says, well, I know that, a will, whoever he says he's going to leave the property to, that's who's going to get it. I say, on the surface, that looks like that. But anytime you do a will, whoever draws up the will and the attorney, and for your father does not have the final say in a will. The final say on how the directions and instructions will finally end up and going is the judge. And she said, a judge? I said, yeah, because all wills have to go to court, has to go through probate, has to go through court, because the judge have to put the seal and the stamp on it to say that it has been approved by the courts, whatever state you're in. It has to go through that. So you could write, your father could say, here's my will, I'm gonna leave this to that person, leave that to that person, but it's not. And then your father passes, it's not final. He just gave a guidance to where he wanted to, but your sisters can come in and contest that and say, especially if you calling me and your father do the will, and if you send the father you want the father to leave the house of you, your sister's got a case. Because now when they get ready to go to court, because it has to go to court before the will can be carried out. Remember, it has to be approved by and stamped by a judge to say, yes, let this happen. Take the name out of your father's name and put it into your name after he's deceased. A judge have to okay that. But before a judge okay that, judge wants to look at everything. And your other 3 sisters will come to court with their attorneys and say, listen, we're just as entitled to the house as my sister who's been there with my father. We live out of state. She lives with my father, but we are equal blood shares. We should get our share of my father's estate. And a judge who don't know you and what you've been doing for your father, and the judge don't really know the details and what's been happening throughout the family history, a judge is going to look at it and say, okay, there's 4 girls. We're going to either, sell the house and give y'all the proceeds, or we're going to have all 4 names on there. I don't know. A judge can have a judge personally feels. The judge can be an atheist, or he can be a Catholic or Jew or Muslim, whatever. However he feels and however his mind think has nothing to do with you. However judge want to rule. Just like some judge, that's why I always say, man, 2 places you want to stay away from. One is them courts. Someone judging and having control over your life, whether they're giving you probation or giving you 20 years, or 30 of life, whatever they say. And then them hospitals. You go to the hospital, Lord help you, because they operate on the wrong arm and cut off the wrong foot. and then what are you gonna do? And then you got to get lawyers and pay. It's a mess. 2 places. That's why you got to take care of your legal criminal stuff. You got to take care of anything legal. You got to be on top of that. And then you also got to be on top of your health, man. Because boy, I tell you, man, one don't want to deal with them hospitals, because they just it's a business and it's not like it used to be. Anyway, so this case. So I want y'all to get this picture. So she comes in and she says, okay, the picture is elderly father, sickly, 4 daughters. 1 daughter called me and said he want a will. So I said, listen, let me tell you why I would probably recommend you get a trust. First, let's talk about the will. Okay, if you get a will, your father is going to leave instructions who he wants to get the house, the car, the assets, his money, everything. He's going to his jewelry. If you got other land or other real estate, he would write down on the will and say who is supposed to get that. Now, a will can be contested. First of all, when you do a will, it's publicly recorded. All wills have to be recorded in the public records. All right. Anything in public, I sort of call it public records. Anybody can go in and pull up your will. All they got to do is pull up your address and go look at your will, because it's public. It's like the taxes. Who owns that property? As long as they get your address, they can find out, where you live and what the value of the house and all that stuff nowadays, especially with, the technology today. So a will is public knowledge. So if it's public knowledge, also creditors, if your father have a credit card or whatever, if you're on one of those credit cards and your father deceased and there was a $5,000 balance, when your father going to heaven, they're going to come after you because you was on that credit card. Okay. So that's what wills do. Plus wills, if there's a mortgage on the property, or if there's not a mortgage on the property, you have to go through probate, because you got to deal with who's going to get the property. And your 3 sisters can contest and say that you kind of, coerced your father to leave the property to you because you was living there with him. And a judge can say that's unfair and rule against the will and do what your father would not want to have done. So that's why most people who understand the process, don't really like wills. For a long time, that's all we heard about wills. There's something called a living trust. And a living trust, and we notice I said living trust. We always thought when you heard the word trust, that was for rich and wealthy people, but that's not so. It used to be that thinking like, you thought like that. But if you have one piece of property, and you pass away, and then when you pass away, the property was in your name, and you didn't get a chance to sign it over to your loved one, that means it has to go through the courts, go through probate. So without a will, or even without a trust, if your father passes and the property is still in his name only, then in order to get the name into whoever wanted the children's name, all four of y'all or one, it has to go through a judge, and the judge has to sanction and say, okay, and give orders to transfer the property out of the deceased name, put it into someone who's alive name, so they can carry on with the property. All that has to go through probate. Probate, you need an attorney. You can't do it by yourself. You need an attorney, and an attorney goes and gets a judge. You don't know which judge you're going to get. Maybe the attorney and the judge play golf together. Maybe he gets to his campaign. I don't know. And they can drag this thing out. A case just came up, and a lady sister died. And this lady lives in North Carolina. And she found out that her sister was in the house and she died. And her sister didn't have any husbands, and any kids and whatever. So she called a lawyer, and the lawyer says $14,000 to go through probate. And the lawyer told her it's going to take about 8 to 9 months. And there's a mortgage on the property. So the sister has to continue to pay that mortgage. Otherwise, it's going to be foreclosed. The dead sister's dead, and $14,000. So that's just like freaked her out. You know what I mean? But you have no, what are you going to do? I mean, because if you don't know, you don't ask. So, you don't know. That's why at the Henderson Financial Group, we do full financial planning. We've been doing this for over 30 years. We can tell you who to go to, how to get this stuff done, but you got to ask. So let's get back to the story. So you got 4 sisters, a father who's elderly and ill. So I recommended, I said, you probably want to look at, let me explain to you why instead of a will, because it has to go through probate, you want to go through a living trust, and why your father is alive. So a living trust, your father would name who he would want to have the house when he died. He could say he want the house sold and the proceeds split between the 4 girls. Or if your father say he favors you, he can say, hey, I want you to get this house. And he puts that in the living trust. And when he puts that there, the living trust is not probatable. When you have a living trust, there is no courts. And once you get it done right now by an attorney one time, that's it. You don't have to go back. And then as long as your father is alive, since he's a living trust, that means that he has access to the trust. He can change his mind anytime he wants to. If you make him mad, he can say, okay, I don't want to leave the house to you no more. I want to leave it to your sister who didn't do nothing for me, but I'm going to leave it to her. Okay. He can do that because he's still alive. He still have power. He still have control. He can say, you know what? I'm going to be dead. I'm getting ready to die. So I'm going to sell my house and move into a nursing home. He can do that. None of y'all get it because he is still alive and he's still a head honcho. He can do that when he creates a living trust. What I like about a living trust is it not only have a will in it in case he forgets something to put in the trust, but it names all of his assets. It also have a section in there called power of attorney. It also have a power of attorney says that if he gets dementia or Alzheimer, who he wants to take control and make financial or any type of decisions for him. It also, the living trust also have what they call a medical directive that says that he don't want to be resuscitated, or he don't want to be hooked up to machines, or he don't want blood, he don't want fusions, or he do, or how does he wants to donate his organs or kidneys, or he don't. It actually has it in there, and it covers everything in there in that living trust while he's alive. Now, he can say one thing today and next year change it because he has the power. He's the king because it's a trust. Okay. That's why I like a living trust. And it's not recorded nowhere downtown. Nobody can look at it and see. It's private. So even when he does a living trust while he's alive, your sisters won't even know who, they won't know nothing. They don't know who he's leaving the property to. And upon his death, if he wanted to leave the property in your name, it will automatically go into your name. And then when he died, there is no court proceedings because then your sisters go, well, hey, okay, daddy died, and let's split. No. The property is already in my name. It's in the trust, and they don't. A trust not even contestable. No judge will see it if it's a trust. Judge said that's out of our league. We're not giving half court over that. What is done is done. That's amazing. And a lot of people don't understand that. And some people think that living trust costs a lot of money. Let me tell you something. They do if you don't know who to go to. But you call me, I'm going to tell you, boy, you're going to say, what? That's it? You call me. Call 305-825-1444. I'll educate you on it, walk you through it, send you a link, and we can set up some time, and I'll spend some time to see if it's good for you, if it's the right thing for you. That's all you have to do. Now, here it is again. You might not know about this. You don't have to be an attorney to know about this, but I'm going to tell you because the attorneys roll this stuff up. And throughout my travels, I have formed a relationship with companies that do this. It's just, man, I tell you, boy, what you don't know will surely hurt you. You think you think education costs? Try ignorance. It costs more. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's why you have to have friends, Rob. People who know, you know, as you were saying, when two people are brought together, they're not brought together because they have the same gift.
Right.
They have opposite gifts, but together they can create greater.
That's right. When God put two people together, it's not to give one an advantage over the other. That's not the God I serve. It's always good, and more good.
Win, and win more.
That's right. It's always win, and win more. It's never like, hey, you know, it's never like that. If you come together with someone and you feel like you're being advantaged, that's not God. When you feel like, oh my God, I'm so thankful for having this person, then that's God. It just feels right, and you know it's right. You know what I mean?
And it's the right time. And Rob, one of the things that even with my family, because my family, you know, has a history of aging. On both sides of my family, my mother's side, my father's side. You know, matter of fact, I just learned, Rob, literally, this is going to blow you away because I haven't shared this with you, but I learned within the last few days that I do have a family member, Rob, that lived to be 127.
127 years old?
Rob, I was told, I said, what? I said, send me a picture. send me. Rob, I want to know him. I want to know where he lived. I want to know more about him. So, and I say that to say to people, we never know what the future is going to bring. So why don't you prepare for more than what you have? You know, because a lot of people, that's where I get hung up on retirement, because retirement means I'm going to stop something. Really? You I mean, with all these years and gifts that you've been given, you're just going to say, hey, okay, if you don't do anything but go out and do community service or go to teach it, be a assistant. I have, quote unquote, an uncle who is the eldest the eldest at the reunion. Rob, the family literally had to stop him because he, after retiring from his work, he wanted to be a crossing guard. He still wanted to serve. Okay. And as of our reunion, he was still with us at 97.
Wow.
Wasn't walking with the king. You know, Rob. So I'm saying to our viewers and our listeners, we don't know how long we're going to live, but we do know the gifts that we have. And if you would plant those gifts in good soil, whether it's your family member or a friend or someone you don't even know. I was talking about a judge. I saw a reel on social media where a young lady came and she was just outdone. She came before the judge because she owed parking tickets. This could be AI generated or whatever, but I thought it was a great message. She came and the judge says, "Your face tells me that you're unhappy. Something is wrong." Wait, what's wrong? My car got towed. Okay, you were Yes, I live in my car. My father died. My mother died. I don't have a place to live. But the story went on, and finally, in the conversation, she said, "I even had to borrow clothes to come to the court so that I could look presentable." And she said, "Will you help me?"
Wow.
And the judge said, "That's a great question." He said, "Hold on." He picked up the phone. He made a call to a friend who had a brother that had a place. He said, "I'm going to take care of that for 3 months." And he said, "Something else I can do for you. I can write off these tickets. I'm going to call the toll place, tell them we'll take care of that. And I'm going to get you a ride to the toll place so you can go get your car. Now, you're going to owe me something. I'm helping you because I want you to become a better you. And I'm trying to give you a start." Rob, you do that through the information that you share. And when IC spoke to my family reunion, there were people that didn't ask questions. There were people who did, but everybody got something. Yeah. Now, whether they use that opportunity, to benefit themselves and others, it's going to be just like the viewers and listeners to you today. Because yes, we grew up with everybody saying, "Oh, mom and daddy has a will." Okay. You're 50 years old and mom and dad has a will, but you haven't explained to them, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, maybe we need to look into this and create a trust, a living trust."
Right.
Yeah. Maybe we need to call the Henderson Financial Group. So you may have friends. Yeah, this, Rob. If we do this, we are community, whether we realize it or not. We always talk about, "Oh, we don't have a community." Yes, we have a community, but are we being neighborly in the community we're in?
Yeah, I know. And but CJ, as you was talking, and you're right. I mean, so you would wonder because we know, and as we grow and as we learn, we know that there is a business side, a money side. Even going to college, going to education is a business. Even going to church. I never seen a church that didn't have a building fund. You know what I mean? It's always, it's always even hospitals and stuff. Medical is about business. You know what I mean? It's money. Who's gonna make the money? So when you think about a will, why if there's something that is better and more superior and more cost effective than a will, and it's called the living trust, why are they talking about wills? So you say, okay, I got it. Wills produce a lot of money for the legal establishment. Okay, first of all, you go to an attorney to get a will done. Ching ching, that's money. Okay. After the will gets done, it's not the final document. It doesn't say the final say. Now it has to go to an attorney who's a judge, and it has to go to court. Ching ching. Now you got to pay court costs. You follow me? So there's money involved. So you get a will, and it's like having a uncooked chicken. What you gonna do with an uncooked chicken? That's what a will is to me. It's uncooked. It can't be cooked and edible until it go to probate, the oven, in court. So now, why we talk about wills? Because it's so simple for an attorney to do. He writes it up as a will. You put it up. He charges $500 for it. He know you will be back.
Of
Well,
course.
you might not be back, but your loved ones will be back because you'll be dead. But he's going to staple his business card on that wheel. And when the deceased die, they're going to look at that card, and who they going to call? They don't call another attorney. They're going to call the attorney who got paid the first time, and now he getting a second paycheck. So it's like money. I'm like, Jesus Christ. That's like, why don't you just tell people? It's like right now they know that each of us can buy a set of tires that lasts forever. But are they going to sell that? No. Why? Because they want you to buy them darn tires every 3, 4, 5 years because it keeps the money coming. That's why. So it's about money. And so much is about money. So much is about money. Just as a lot of people just want to have a good life. Tell me which way to go. Help me. Give me some directions. Like education shouldn't cost that much to learn something. $200,000 and come out and get a job making $60,000. But it's a business. And right now, the way the system is, we're really moving toward the haves and the have-nots. And people don't see that, but it's widening. You either gonna have it or you don't. It's gonna be the rich and the poor, like the Hunger Games or something. Man, I don't know. So you really got to get your financial act in order. So I wondered. I said, well, why would an attorney recommend a will when he know that if he recommends a trust, he gets paid one time, but that's it. That's why. But I, James, I just believe in doing the right thing, the best thing. Treat people, golden rule. Treat people and give people advice the way you'd want to give advice for yourself.
Right. But they don't see that if they don't see what we see. Because if you help somebody, that somebody is going to recommend you to somebody else.
That's how I stay in business.
Because they say, wow. I just got educated. I spoke with Mr. Henderson, and I was going for a will. And now, how many people do you know that have just a will, not a living trust, or nothing at all?
Nothing at all. Most have nothing at all.
Nothing at all. They're not thinking. They're not planning. And right now, I'm gonna put that off. Because I don't want to talk to my mama or my daddy about no will, because that may make them die early. Come on, really? We don't like to talk about that. Well, first of all, let me tell you something. You came from somewhere and you don't know where it was, and you're going someplace and you don't know where that is. So the only thing that's gonna die is this body. That's all.
Spirit lives on.
Right, our spirit lives on. And you came as a sperm, and they say it was millions of them, and you were so blessed that you outran all of them to the egg, and you got it. We got it, Rob. So, hey, I'm not fighting to stay here, but guess what? I know that my being here, heaven is right here on earth. Now, I don't know what church teach you that you got to die to go to heaven. But if they teaching you that, you need to leave that church. You need to start reading for yourself, studying for yourself, because they say, oh yeah, he's coming back. No, he came back. It's called it was called the resurrection.
Oh, you're getting deep now, Jane. You're getting deep. You're getting deep in the church, man.
But he's coming back a third time too. Rob, but these are simple things, Rob. But what you're telling us, and it's simple for you. But guess what? It's so much wisdom for us if we take action.
Right. Yeah, you gotta.
Now,
first come thought.
You got to do the get the knowledge, and then you've got to get the comprehension. But if you do not take action, hey, you never have wisdom.
Yeah, you got to take action. You got to follow up. You got to follow through, because we get a lot of thoughts. So those who all want to follow up, I promise you, I'll send you a link, and it's very, very easy, and you enjoy the experience, because you learn something just looking at the link. I mean, you really do, and it's user friendly. It's layman. It's not words that you can't comprehend or understand. It's very down to earth, You click on the link and it say, what is the will? What's the between the wills and the trust, and what does most people do? If I'm married or single, should I have a will? But it's or should I have a trust? It's some really good stuff. So I want you to call the office 305 825 1444 and say you was listening to me on the show and you want to get that link to estate planning, living wills and trusts. And I'll send you the link. And then if you want to, after you look at it, it doesn't cost you anything for me to send you the link. After you look at it, if you want to go through it, you can set up some time with me and I'll spend an hour with you actually and go over it. Just get an appointment time, whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday, and we'll go over it. But it's something that you really should do. Now, you're not hearing this by mistake. If you're hearing this, it's in divine order for you to hear it. Your timing is right. The God that I serve, there's no mistakes. Now, it's up to you. Since you're hearing it, you can't say you never heard this before, because it's in your ear now and you see me talk about it. So that means it's something for you to do. And it's probably been on your mind for a long time, but you didn't do it. So now I'm saying it again. You want to do it, because I have so many people that come to me and say, Henderson, I should have listened to you 10 years ago. Oh my God. I should have listened to you. You don't want to be left out. If you want a prayer, or wisdom, understanding, and whatever, you have to act. You really have to make a step. You really have to, because we're grown now and it's your life. And that's why a lot of wealthy people don't feel sorry for you if you don't know something, because they feel that, you have the opportunity to learn, especially living here in America. And if you don't really take the initiative to find out, they don't feel sorry for you. They say shame on you because the information is here. They really don't feel sorry for you, because they feel that, if you ask, seek, and knock, the door will be open. But if you don't, they don't feel sorry for you. You can't, see, James, you touched on something. You were saying about, you have this thing about retirement. You don't understand that. And that's because you built your life on service. See, a lot of people, we've been conditioned to, we work for the man, the state or the federal or county or whatever, the city. And then we do, 20, 30 years and we retire. Somehow we've been indoctrinated that after you work for the man or the woman or the county or the city or the state or whatever, that's it for you, but service continues. It should continue, whether you volunteering, whether you helping. People need help. We need each other. So it's because you can retire from the county or the water company or whatever. You can retire from that because you've been doing that and you're tired. But you shouldn't retire from life. From life,
Rob.
No,
Rob. And one of the beautiful things about this is when you get this information. First of all, the relatives that you may have, whether it's your children, your grandchildren, your cousin, maybe whomever. Here is a way that you can be a blessing to someone that you want to help, but you may not have the finances to help them now. So wouldn't it be a beautiful thing to have a trust to include that nephew that has been good? He's been struggling. That niece, she's been doing this. She's been doing all the right things. Or that daughter or son that's been just not catching the right breaks. But if they had an opportunity, so all of a sudden, now you set up a living trust to say, when you're gone, hey, you're going to bless them.
Right.
What you, so, and Rob, the greatest blessing, so, and they won't always accept it when we give it to them, but the greatest blessing that we can give sometimes is advice and information. But we got to realize we were children too. And we didn't always listen and we didn't always obey. That's why when my kids were young enough to listen and to talk, the rule in the house was, now one way you can keep daddy off you is if you do two things: listen and obey.
That's right.
But if you break any of those rules, you're gonna have a problem. So here we get a chance to listen. And now that you've listened, you can listen, you can obey, but you can also share the information. check with that's why when our younger generation was the ones that's doing our family reunion, they started a couple of years ago, and they're being mentored by my brother out of my brother John. They're being mentored through him and through all of us because we all chip in to help them. But one of the things that we wanted them to see was, hey, they said, Uncle T, could we bring in the financial planning? And I've talked about it for a few years now, Rob, because I spoke with you about it a few years ago. And finally, they asked. And then I asked. And then we were able to bring it into our family reunion. Many people having family reunions going about. But have you ever talked about wills and trusts? Have you ever asked your elderly, do you have a will or do you have a trust? Have you ever asked them, are they planning and preparing, for a life? Don't even ask them if they're planning and preparing for death. Ask them for another life. If you want to call, since they say they're going to leave and go to heaven, are you, and we should do that, Rob. We should do that.
Yes.
I mean, and age, believe me, you and I know, Rob, age doesn't determine death.
No. We said it
right.
We say it every day, young dying, it's and I think, James, is because we have been kind of indoctrinated and programmed to think a certain way. Like I was saying, just because you retire off the job, you've been doing something, you're tired of doing that, you've been doing something that you didn't really want to do, but you had to do because you need to make a living. And now, you retire, and a lot of people think that that's it, just go fishing and whatever, but that's not what the Creator created you for. I mean, I know you have to have a job so you can be gainfully employed, but there's something that's called financial capital, and there's something that's called human capital. Financial capital is having money. That's how much money you have, how much financial capital you have. But what people don't understand, what about human capital? What is human capital? Human capital means you measure it with that. As a matter of fact, if you get a lawsuit, if there's wrongful death, you know how they determine how much the lawsuit and how much your family is going to receive if you've been wrongfully killed or whatever. You know how they measure that? They measure that from human by human capital. What is your worth to society? How much that you was going to be able to make during your lifetime? What is your lifestyle? If you Uncle Willie, a bum sitting under a tree drinking a beer, and somebody just all of a sudden a truck runs over you off the side of the road and kill you, you not gonna get as much. Uncle Willie, you're not gonna get as much money for Uncle Willie who didn't have a job and drank beer under the tree as if it was a doctor that got ran over by a truck. Why? Because they look at the human capital for the doctor, how much money he's going to make over his lifetime. Uncle Willie, who was a drunk, they figured, let's look at his income tax for last year. So he not getting ready to get 10 million. Because, you look at his income tax, matter of fact, he ain't filed his income tax. He ain't filed his income tax in 10 years. So it's going to be pretty hard for Morgan & Morgan to get you $10 million for that wrongful death, because they want to look at the human worth, the human capital. Now that's a lot of that right there. What I just shared with you all, I know that's something you guys did not know. That's the business side of death. I told you it's all about money, man. It really is. What is your human capital worth? Not you got financial capital, economic capital, and then you got this net worth. And I talked about that a few months ago when we talked about what is your net worth, man. I mean, just because you make a whole lot of money, you're making $100,000, $200,000, you're spending all of it. What do you have saved though? What is your net worth? What's your assets? What do you own? You know what I mean? If you got $500,000 in your retirement plan, and you feel like, hey man, you got a whole lot of money, but then you owe $400,000 on your house, then that means your net worth is $100,000 in this whole wide world. And you're 60 years old, and that's all you worth is $100,000. Boy, I tell you that's not much for you, is it? 60 years old, you only work for 100,000 and you've been working all these. So that's how you got to really look at what are you doing? Look in the mirror and look at this economically. You know, nowadays, they got children, young folks coming up, they getting angry with their parents. Have you heard that one? Mama, daddy, why you brought me in here and we poor? We ain't got no money. Why you had me? I want to sue you.
New day. It's a new day.
These kids are mad, man. Like, what you got for me? You ain't got nothing for me. That's what, boy. You gotta think about what you're doing, and how times are really changing. You know what I mean?
They don't see opportunity, Rob. Yeah.
No.
Well, I think they're. I don't know if it's Japanese, Chinese, or whatever, but there's a saying that says when they see a crisis, what we call a crisis, they don't see a crisis. They see an opportunity.
Opportunity, right?
An opportunity. There is always an opportunity. And so if you don't see an opportunity, then you need to change the environment that you're in. Because opportunities are out there, Rob. Trust me.
Plentiful every day.
Woo! Rob, I saw something recently that I think it's HUD. HUD has a website that will show foreclosures on not just duplexes, but they'll show foreclosures on multiple units. 4 units, 6 units. Hey, they'll show the date of the auction there. I mean, so opportunities are everywhere if you're looking for investments. Now don't jump out there and you have never invested or never done that and say, hey, I'm going to jump out here. No, hey, do your homework. And my thing always is find someone that knows more than I do so that I can bring them in and so that we can share in the benefits of our gifts, because God has gifted and purposed us, and his purpose for us is truly based on our giftedness, because he wouldn't make us or create us for a purpose that he wouldn't gift us, to do well in. But it's so that his purpose is not just for us, it's for us to be a blessing to others. So I hope that you guys will take this information that Rob has shared today and pass it on. And if you are one of those people that just have a will, or if you're one of those people that don't have will nor living trust, then, hey, don't wait for next month or after the summer. Hey, the time to act is now. Hey, and the action could be making sure you get that number, which is
305-825-1444. And if it's not just for you, it might be for an aunt or uncle or a neighbor. We all in this together. Share information. If you see somebody that's in the hospital and they're elderly and they're single, and they own a home, then you know that they probably don't have their estate plan or financial house in order. Then volunteer, help them. Say you learned something, now you're going to share this information. Just give us a call, 305-825-1444, and I'll send you the link so you can click on it and sit back and peruse, get a cup of coffee or tea and learn something. And once you finish, you're going to feel empowered, strong, like you're a muscle man, a muscle woman. You're just going to feel like, something, it makes you feel fulfilled, make you feel good, So definitely give me a call, 305-825-1444. Hey, how you doing there, P? Happy money. What do you call it? Get Money Saturday.
Hey, understanding money. Rob, on the 18th hole, I played golf 2 days while I was on at my family reunion. And on the 18th hole coming up, I was on a different cart than my nephew. I had 2 nephews on the cart and 2 brothers was on the cart. We were coming up, and my nephew walked up to me and he said, Uncle T, I'm going to call that number. I'm going to call Uncle T. But he's a good kid, Rob. This kid, he's a young man now, but this young man, when I bought that ice thing and gifted to my, right. he was the one that ran it.
Oh,
And even since then, he's been investing in everything. And he said, Uncle T, I'm looking into that. I'm calling. I said, hey, very good. Because I'm not trying to force. First of all, I'm not selling you on something.
right.
I'm sharing something with you. And I told everybody in the audience at the reunion, I said, hey, this is not a sales pitch. I said, I want to give you information, and I even want to inform you, or maybe even to just invite you to start thinking about, am I planning or am I preparing for my future and the future of my family? If you don't love yourself, there's got to be somebody that you love. Even if you don't love yourself, you say, hey, there's got to be somebody that you love and admire. And that planning will be so important. So young people, there is no age limit for you to start planning. Trust me. Oh, I am so glad that I met Robert Henderson in 1980.
Yes, I am so glad I met James T.
And he filled out the papers for me that generates income today.
And that's something. Oh man, I tell you, Parnell, good morning, brother. Miss Lady Mae Vickers, Carol Miller, Helen Lee, good morning, Iris, good morning, Adrian, good morning. Who else we have here? And a lot of people,
Miss Redhead and Miss Myers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, Norvik. Yes, we good morning. I know we have a lot of people here that's watching also. But listen, I hope you learned something. If you came in late, just we on Facebook and YouTube. It never ends, so you can go back and restart the program. But give me a call, 305-825-1444. Hey James, we need some prayer, brother.
I got it. As a matter of fact, my golfing brother from Oklahoma sends out a message today. And he says, Father God, Lord Jesus, Holy Spirit, in you are hidden all treasures of wisdom and knowledge. We seek you together, desiring your truth to guide our steps today. Unite our hearts in understanding that we may walk in your fullness. Reveal your mysteries to us and strengthen us in faith and in love. Let us love one another enough that as we are blessed, we will be a blessing to others to show that God is not just good, God is best. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Let the church say amen. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, you all, and please be safe. 305-825-1444 next week. Peace.